So today we're looking at a program called Gimp, which is the new image manipulation program. You've got to be very careful when you Google it, but this does normally come out top. It is a free alternative to Photoshop and it does things much the same. Now, this is actually my first time using Gimp, and I'm going to do a little video tutorial and I will be making mistakes live and in real time so you can see that it really is the best way to explore a piece of software. What we're going to be creating is a screen print style image. So this is a very popular way of putting logos and emblems and advertising and images onto fabrics, t-shirts, posters, etc. And also a very good way of marketing a festival, for example. So you could do it the old-fashioned way and get a screen print and a squeegee and some ink and squidge it across, but this way is much cleaner and also much quicker and more lucrative in the long run if you're running a company that are creating t-shirts, such as Superdry there, for instance. So this is my screen on GIMP, and it works very much like Photoshop. Apart from I yet haven't found any templates in it, so I am putting in my own measurements for a piece of A4 paper, which is roughly 21 centimeters by 29 centimeters. I will explore a way to do it. We're learning this program together. Perhaps you'll find it first, I don't know. Uh, right, always zoom in, don't strain your eyes, don't risk it for the sake of making little mistakes and stuff. There's our layer panel. That is much the same as Photoshop, and it's much the same way to make a new layer. You get a little garbled box up here. I haven't read all the bits in it yet. I never do. I just press OK. And hope for the best. Like I say, best way for learning is get lost in things. Rectangle tool. So the different ways of making rectangles on Photoshop, and you find your favourite. I haven't explored the different ways of doing it on GIMP yet, but I've already found the way that I like doing it on Photoshop is on here. Picking a colour is exactly the same. You've got your little spectrum of colours, and your paint bucket tool is the same. These have moved since I looked at it last night. There we go, bucket. Right, one of the nicer things about this is if you right click, you get a list of different tools and things like you do on Photoshop in the bigger menus. And I really like this because it's worth looking in because you find you can duplicate. Oh, what's going on here? Make a new. I'm going to show you this first. Duplicate layer, just to show that you can use the same shape and manipulate it the same. I just want to show you this on the tools thing here. You've got the transform tools where you see lots of familiar things like we've already looked at, like scale. Being able to change the shape of things. I'm guessing. See, I'm guessing. You see, if I do that, I can probably. That's it. I've got freedom. It doesn't keep it ratio locked there. See, just make it up as you go along, don't you? You see. Okay. But I'm not going to do the rest of it like this because I just wanted to show you the duplicate thing. I'm going to draw everything on the same layer. So for the so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stick them together. Merge down. I'm looking for. There we go. So now they're on the same layer. I'm just going to carry on drawing. So I'm drawing. I'm not going to tell you what I'm drawing. I'll wait until you see it and you all go, "Oh, I get it now." So I'm just using rectangles and the paint bucket, which I still keep losing. I mean, you can fast forward this bit a little bit. That's the beauty of this. You don't have to listen to me going on, but then you'll have to rewind to double check what I've said. There we go. Any guesses yet as to what it is? I mean, this would be a good festival. I would go. Oh yeah, it's the little marching ants you get rid of here by clicking select and none. I don't know why they don't call it deselect. That took a while to work out. There we go. Little it's a robot. Of course it is, because it's RoboFest. Right, I'm going to cut out a couple of shapes. Now the way screen prints work is that a lot of them are monocolour, and you've got to think in reality, a company making a screen print would want to use as little ink as possible to save money in order to make money. But obviously, that would give you a good effect, but adding a second colour is a bit of fun because the way screen prints work, that is part of the natural man-made way of doing it, is that you get, when you put a second layer of colour on with a different screen, you sometimes get overlaps, or it's a bit wonky, or the ink doesn't stick properly. So there's little mistakes that we really need to be able to see on this, so that we can't we sort of start um, blending what our imagination between reality and non-reality, the difference between actual physical screen printing and screen print on the computer. We want it so that you actually start questioning its reality. So by doing this on another layer, we are in essence creating a second layer of ink, and we can manipulate it a bit and play around with it. See more in a minute, right? So this, for this example, so I'm going to give him a little control panel or light on his chest. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to play with these tools together, the transformer. I'm going to use the little rotate tool, and I'm just going to rotate that so it's as though the guy doing the screen print in the factory or whatever has been knocked, or he's nudged it slightly. Doesn't look like he's rotated properly there. Don't worry, we'll get that sorted later. Right, that's, there is a live mistake. That should be a circle. I could duplicate that layer to make it work easier, but again, I want that man-made aspect. There's a live mistake. Press the wrong button. Press the wrong button again. But I've now found out how you select a shape, which is useful. See, getting lost in the menus, can't beat it. All right, I'm not trying to aim it up or anything. Again, it's the whole, is it man-made? Is it computer-made? Right, lovely little character. Background color. Right, so this is a bold block color at the moment, and we need to make it act like ink. If you put different colored inks on different colored backgrounds, they act different because the ink is slightly translucent. It is not thick and blocky. Okay, it is translucent. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to add a background color. So I've used this one, it's quite popular on t-shirts, this colour. That looks nice, doesn't it? But we've got a button here called multiply, which changes the pixels. These are all different effects. This is multiply, so this makes the colour translucent. That is how that colour ink would work on that background. I've pressed the wrong shading technique there, but you got the idea that that background is bad. Okay, because it's dark. I mean, that effect's not bad, but it's dark. So what we're going to do is we'll change that for a lighter one, and you get, this is what the experimenting's all about. If you wanted, you could cut the shape of the robot out of the background and have that screen printed as well. So you can go as far as you want, but you don't want me chatting to you all the time about this. Change that to the one it should be. Multiply, that's right. Right. So there we have him on a lighter background, and you can see it works much better. This is what I mean about the man-made bit. If you were slightly wonky with your second stencil and went over like that, that works nicely. Right, another effect I love. If I get the paintbrush and I just scribble over here on the page, you can see that you've got different kinds of brushes. So there's flicky brushes and normal brushes and bold brushes, that kind of thing. There we go, little blobby, speckly things. That's a paintbrush, right? What I really like about programs like this is if you get the eraser tool, that also works with the paintbrushes. So you're not just rubbing out a big bold area, you can rub out little bitty areas, which give you two effects there. Either the ink hasn't gone through the stencil properly, or it's a bit worn. It's where you start getting that vintage look. And, you know, you can drag it across or blob it on, and you get these different effects. Got to be careful because obviously the brush is the same. So if you do it too many times in similar places, it looks a bit too mechanical. You can also change the hardness of the brush. So that's like, you know, rubbing it lightly as though it's just been, you know, scuffed a little bit maybe, or it just knocked against something in the wash buttons or something. Okay, and there you have quite a nice little vintage robo print. Right, there's something else we can do, which I am going to attempt live now, which I hadn't intended on doing, but I've not tried bringing in anything on Gimp yet. So I'm going to get a fabric background so that we've got a bit of texture. What have we got here? That's it. That'll do for the experiment. So I'm just going to copy that and I'm going to paste it. Turn that off. Stick it on a new layer. I don't quite know how sticking things to layers works yet, whether it does it automatically or not. Still experimenting. There's my fabric. Now, at this point in recordings, I get completely messed up on being able to move this layer. So I experimented and messed about for a bit and finally found that you have to stop it. You can call it a floating selection. You have to stop it being called a floating selection in order to be able to order it and move it around. I couldn't do that, so I stopped the recording of the video in order to not lose your attention if I haven't already lost it. And on the next slide, you can see what it looks like with a fabric background. So because it's translucent, you get all that nice texture showing through. So that, everyone, is how you make a little vintage screen print on Gimp. Now, if you're lucky enough to have Photoshop, please use Photoshop. And I know a lot of you mentioned other graphics programs you use. If you can create something like that with your festival logo, then I'm happy for you to play with that. But there is a nice little task for you all.